30 gallons of emotional tears will flow from your eyes over the course of your lifetime. But for a survival machine, blurring your own vision during a crisis seems like a fatal glitch. So why are humans the only creatures on Earth that actually weep? In 1872, the man who decoded the origins of life hit a massive biological wall. Charles Darwin was 63 years old and obsessed with a puzzle that seemed to defy evolution. He spent years writing letters to asylum directors and doctors, trying to map every human expression. To Darwin, the body was a flawless survival machine, perfectly adapted to its environment. But tears, they made absolutely no sense. During intense distress, the exact moment you need your wits about you, your eyes fill with water, effectively blinding you to predators. Darwin eventually surrendered, famously concluding that weeping was just a purposeless biological accident. He called it an incidental secretion caused by blood gorging the eye muscles, about as meaningful as the watering of your eyes from a stray blow to the face. For over a century, the scientific community just took his word for it. Darwin had spoken, so emotional tears were written off as a bizarre quirk of anatomy. But it turns out Darwin was profoundly wrong. It took over 100 years for someone to finally challenge Darwin's assumption. In the early 1980s, a pioneering biochemist named Dr. William H. Frey II decided that to understand crying, he had to physically harvest tears. He set up a groundbreaking study at his medical center in Minnesota that looked more like a movie theater than a lab. He brought in volunteers and subjected them to two very different experiences. First, they painstakingly chopped pungent onions to produce reflex tears, the kind your body uses to wash away irritants. Then, to get the emotional stuff, he sat them down to watch devastatingly sad movies like The Champ, carefully catching the droplets in tiny glass vials as they rolled down their cheeks. When Dr. Frey put both sets under a microscope, the results shattered a century of biological theory. Emotional tears were chemically unique. They contained 24% more protein and literal stress hormones. You aren't just leaking water, you are physically sweating anxiety right out of your brain. But Frey's chemical discovery was only the beginning. So we know that crying acts like a biological pressure valve, physically purging toxic stress from our systems. But that still doesn't answer Darwin's main problem. Why do it so visibly? Why blur our vision when we are at our most vulnerable? The answer lies in the deeply social nature of being human. Unlike most animals that rely on camouflage or sheer physical dominance to survive, humans survive by forming complex empathetic communities. Tears evolved as the ultimate visual white flag. When you cry, you are sending a completely involuntary and unmistakable signal to everyone around you that your defenses are down. You cannot fake a genuine emotional tear, and our brains have evolved to instantly recognize that. When a fellow human sees those glossy tracks on your cheeks, it triggers an immediate, hardwired empathetic response in their own mind. It bypasses language entirely, screaming for help and signaling submission without you ever having to open your mouth. It is a brilliant evolutionary hack that turns a moment of blinding vulnerability into a magnet for community support and protection. But as it turns out, the visual signal is only half the story. The real superpower of human tears is actually entirely invisible. In January of 2011, a team led by Dr. Noam Sobel at the Weizmann Institute published a paper in the journal Science that sounded like pure science fiction. They wanted to know if tears had a smell. Not a scent you can consciously detect like perfume or food, but a hidden chemical odor that alters the behavior of whoever breathes it in. To test this, researchers had women watch sad film scenes in isolation, catching their emotional tears in tiny vials. They then had male volunteers sniff these vials without telling them what was actually inside. The men couldn't smell anything unusual. They genuinely thought they were just sniffing plain saline water, but their bodies reacted drastically. Blood tests and brain scans revealed that after sniffing the tears, the men experienced a significant measurable drop in testosterone levels and sexual arousal. It was the first major proof that human tears are actually a potent chemosignal. They are airborne messengers designed to physically alter the hormonal state of the people standing closest to us, acting as a sort of invisible chemical broadcast that changes the mood of the room without a single word being spoken. But here is what is truly mind-blowing about that chemosignal. By December of 2023, Sobel's lab pushed their research even further, publishing a landmark follow-up study. They placed men in a highly controlled, incredibly frustrating video game environment designed specifically to provoke them and make them angry. Then they exposed them to the scent of emotional tears. The result was staggering. Male aggression plummeted by an astonishing 43%. The chemical scent of tears directly and drastically reduces hostility in the brain. Crying isn't just a cry for help. It is a literal chemical defense mechanism. It is your body deploying an invisible aerosol spray to pacify a potential attacker, instantly lowering their aggression and testosterone to keep you safe. I promise you'll never look at a crying face the same way again. Because those tears aren't just water, they are a sophisticated survival tool that Darwin completely missed. When you zoom out and look at the grand timeline of human evolution, this discovery completely flips the script on what we thought we knew about survival of the fittest. We usually picture early humans as these brutal warriors surviving through sheer strength, weapons, and dominance, but our biology tells a much softer, more sophisticated story. We didn't just survive because we were tough. We survived because we developed an involuntary foolproof mechanism to stop violence before it started. Consider a baby crying for its mother or a defeated rival weeping before a conqueror. Those tears are doing double duty. First, they're physically flushing chaotic stress hormones right out of the crier's bloodstream, which helps them calm down and survive the immediate shock. But second, they're actively radiating a chemical pacifier into the air, forcing the aggressor's brain to stand down and choose empathy over rage. Darwin thought blurring our vision was a fatal flaw, but he missed the sheer genius of it. You don't actually need to see clearly if you have successfully hijacked the brain chemistry of the person trying to hurt you. Tears are the ultimate evolutionary deflector shield, built entirely out of water, protein, and a deep biological need for connection. And the weirdness of human tears doesn't stop with chemical warfare. Did you know that basal tears, the ones that constantly lubricate your eyes, actually contain a powerful natural antibiotic called lysozyme? This stuff is incredible. It can destroy 90% of all bacteria it touches in just 10 minutes. It's basically a built-in eye sanitizer. Or consider how, as we age, our tear production starts to slow down, which is why older people often deal with chronic dry eye, yet they still keep their full capacity for emotional weeping. Furthermore, if you look at crystallized tears under a scanning electron microscope, they look like intricate aerial maps of tiny cities. The weirdest part is that the pattern changes completely depending on why you were crying, whether it was from grief, joy, or just chopping an onion. Even the way tears fall is engineered by evolution, flowing directly down the cheeks to maximize the surface area for evaporation, ensuring those chemical signals get pushed right into the surrounding air for others to breathe in. The most profound realization in all of this research is that humans never actually lost the ability to communicate through scent. We tend to look at dogs and other animals that sniff each other to establish dominance or peace, and we think we have evolved far past that primitive behavior, but we haven't. We just hid it in plain sight. Every time you cry in front of someone, you are engaging in an ancient, invisible chemical dialogue that dates back thousands of years. Your sadness is literally reaching out through the air and altering the hormonal makeup of the people standing in your living room. We are profoundly interconnected on a molecular level, constantly trading invisible emotional data that dictates how we treat one another. Your tears are physical proof that human beings were biologically designed to care for each other, even when we can't find the words to ask for help. It's a beautiful hidden layer of our existence that makes the world feel a little bit smaller and a lot more human. So, the next time you feel those tears welling up, don't fight them. Let your body deploy its ancient chemical deflector shield and sweat that anxiety right out. I'm curious, what movie or song absolutely guarantees you'll shed some emotional tears? Let me know in the comments what triggers your chemical white flag. If you learned something new today, hit that subscribe button to join our community of curious minds. We're always digging into the hidden mechanics of the world, and I'd love to have you here. Keep wondering, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next video.